Coming up next with Fox 4 News at 10.
It's 10 o'clock across North Texas. Fox 4 News starts now.
Good evening, I'm Clarice Tinsley. The threat of severe weather for most of North Texas is gone. All warnings in the Metroplex have been canceled, but not before several areas were hit with severe weather. In Collin County, hail was reported in Plano, Allen, and McKinney. There was also a tornado warning there. Temperatures are now dropping quickly, and there's the threat for freezing temps for some of us. Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry first on Fox 4 News at 10.
Hello there, Clarice. The severe weather threat continues to diminish across much of North Texas. Here's a look at the radar at this hour. We are still tracking some strong thunderstorms well southeast of the Metroplex. There are currently no warnings in effect, and I don't think we're going to see any more issued here in North Texas. These storms are producing wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour, perhaps some very small hail, certainly less than quarters, but there could be some dime-sized hail in a couple of these storms. The big story is the lightning. 930 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes in that cluster in the last 15 minutes. Temperatures literally continue to fall minute by minute. 58 now in Fort Worth, 54 in Denton, and down to 47 degrees to our northwest in Bowie. Bowie and Montague County, in fact, northern and western portions of North Texas under a freeze warning. Early tomorrow morning, there could be a brief light freeze in those areas with temperatures dipping into the lower 30s. In fact, we'll be in the upper 30s here in Dallas and Fort Worth by early tomorrow morning with wind chills in the 20s. How long will this chill stick around this weekend? We'll talk about that, run down the rest of your 7-day forecast in just a couple minutes.
Bundle up. All right, Dan, thanks. Fox 4's Lynn Ann Wynn continues our weather coverage from Collin County, where a number of neighborhoods got hail tonight. Lynn Ann.
Clarice, residents we spoke to did report some hail damage, but say that the storm quickly rolled through the area, and they're just thankful that it wasn't worse. Now, this is video from Fox 4 viewer Hayden Kong showing hail coming down in Frisco earlier this evening. Viewers in various areas like Prosper, Salina, McKinney, and Plano also sent us video and pictures of golf ball size hail they saw tonight. We spoke to one neighbor who says they dealt with some hail damage last year, which cost them about $1,000 in damage. So this year, they weren't taking any chances.
I just knew it was coming, and was watching the news, and I just put the hail protector on. My truck doesn't fit in the garage, so that's the only way I can protect it. So.
And it paid off.
Yes, it did. I got hit the last storm last year, and all 3 of our cars got damaged, so this time we were ready.
And others were not so lucky. The person who lives next door to that man had some minor hail damage to their windshield. And earlier tonight, sirens could be heard in Frisco as a tornado warning was issued for that area. That was ahead of tonight's Rough Riders game in Frisco. Residents and fans heard several rounds of those sirens. A ballpark employee tells us the incoming weather interrupted the opposing team's on-field practice before the game as ballpark personnel brought out a tarp to cover the field. Announcements in the ballpark urged fans to seek shelter before the game, and while some did, others were not that concerned.
Grew up in Oklahoma, so when you hear them, you look up to see where it's at, and then you go whichever direction it's not.
After a quick round of rain rolled through that area, the weather cleared out in time for the Rough Riders to play ball. That game started around 7:45 this evening after a slight delay. Clarice, back to you.
Lynn Ann, thanks. In Rockwall County, powerful winds brought down tree limbs and damaged power lines. There was also some hail damage in a few neighborhoods. Fox 4's Blake Hansen continues our coverage in Rockwall. Blake.
Clarice, the storms have cleared out now, but now it is the time to clean up. You can see some businesses here in downtown Rockwall are boarding up after some hail damage earlier this evening. And we want to start out by really showing you some video of some ominous clouds as the storms move in around 6:45. It was not safe to be outside, though, through much of the area as the storms moved in. There was this onslaught of lightning across the sky as the storm started. And once the storm moved over us here, it brought some walls of rain, small hail, strong winds as well. It took out smaller branches on trees and even damaged some power lines that we came across. Some residents reported larger hail in the downtown Rockwall area, as I mentioned earlier, especially in some of the older homes that are nearby. We went over there tonight. Some people had already patched up over holes the hail punched through windows. One man told me it was about ping pong ball size hail. Another home we visited had several windows cracked and damaged. No doubt the window and roofing companies will be busy in the coming days. We talked with a business owner in downtown Rockwall who was cleaning up tonight. Take a listen to what she had to say.
I got a phone call from my artist that works here that, of all places, it hit mine. The whole interior of the big window was completely blown, glass everywhere, a major leak in through the front. No critical damage, but just did some work.
A lot of people were telling me, though, they feel lucky considering some of the images they saw of the larger hail in parts of Collin County. They know it could have been worse, so they're counting their blessings tonight as that storm has now moved out of the area. Clarice?
Absolutely. Thank goodness it wasn't. Blake Live, thank you. Texas Rangers game at Globe Life Park got a late start because of the rain. A tarp was rolled out over the field. Fans took cover. The game against the Blue Jays started an hour late at 7:40. Texas Motor Speedway has a comprehensive plan in place in case of severe weather. NASCAR fans have been camped out all week in anticipation of weekend races. TMS is monitoring the weather for every race. A siren alerts fans of a tornado warning. Other weather alerts go out to the Big Hoss TV. Fans see it there. Social media and TMS police go through the campgrounds to alert people. 2 bodies were found in a Fort Worth apartment complex. Police are investigating this as a double murder. Not many details have been released, but police did call this an isolated incident. Fox 4's Brandon Todd live with the latest.
Well, Clarice, the Tarrant County Medical Examiner left here about 2 hours ago. Right back behind me, Fort Worth police are still guarding this scene. The medical examiner, of course, will help to provide police with the cause of death on both of the victims. Meanwhile, neighbors here have just as many questions about how the two were killed.
But our kids did play together.
Tisha Gonzalez watched crime scene detectives process a double murder scene at an apartment near hers. She says a woman and her young daughter lived in the apartment off Woodhaven Boulevard in East Fort Worth.
She was always good with the kids, you know. She let them go right there and play, like up there to her apartment or in front of it. You know, she'll watch them.
The apartment on the 2nd floor was surrounded by crime scene tape. Investigators would only confirm 2 deaths, but released nothing about the gender or age of the victims. Detectives are interviewing potential witnesses, and while they didn't elaborate, police believe the public is not in danger.
They're working leads, and that's part of the investigation we don't want to go into just yet. But again, it appears that it's isolated to this scene here.
Police were called to the Verona apartment homes around 12:30. Neighbors say the woman's sister made the discovery.
I heard just screaming and I ran out, and then we just heard, you know, all this was going on, and, you know, I just seen her sister saying, I've been trying to get in touch with my sister since this morning. So she was like banging on the door, calling her, no answer, no answer.
Crime scene tape surrounded a dumpster near the apartment. Police haven't said why or how that may be connected. And police say there were other kids that belonged to the victim, and they are safe with family members tonight. Clarice?
Brandon, thank you. Frisco police are investigating a fatal shooting. A man was found dead from a gunshot wound around 5 p.m. on Goliad Circle near El Dorado Parkway. When officers arrived, the suspected shooter was still on the scene. Police say the shooter knew the victim. Texas has started sending National Guard members to the U.S. border with Mexico in response to President Trump's call for troops to fight drug trafficking and illegal immigration. 250 members of the National Guard are expected to deploy within the next 72 hours. Brigadier General Tracy Norris, commander of the Texas Army National Guard, announced the deployment earlier today. Norris said state and federal officials are still working on what the responsibilities of the Guard will be and determining how many troops will be deployed to the border.
It's a little premature to say what the total is. Currently, we are sending planners, and we are already coordinating with Customs and Border Patrol, but we will be working with their planners as far as what the Department of Homeland Security requirements will be.
Officials from Arizona also announced today they would be sending 150 troops to the border. Right now, there's no timeline for how long they'll be deployed. Texas already has 100 National Guard members stationed on the border under a state mission. A U.S. congressman from Texas has resigned following allegations of sexual harassment, misconduct, and inappropriate behavior. Republican Representative Blake Farenthold from Corpus Christi previously announced he would not seek re-election. Farenthold's former communications director received an $84,000 settlement in 2014 after she accused him of making inappropriate sexual comments. That settlement was paid with taxpayer money. Farenthold vowed to repay taxpayers, but as of last month, he has not paid that money back. A Dallas-based classified website and all of its affiliated sites are being seized by the federal government. A notice on Backpage.com says the sites are being seized by the FBI, U.S. Postal Inspector, and the IRS. Backpage had been under fire for years over its adult services subsection. The site was popular with sex workers. The headquarters was raided in 2016. The CEO arrested. Last year, Backpage removed the adult section of its site. The designer behind what was touted as the world's largest, tallest water slide is behind bars, charged with a 10-year-old's death. A runner whose heart stopped during the Dallas half marathon met the Dallas officer who began life-saving CPR on her.
Rangers trying to make a ferocious comeback late at night. And what should Mavs fans expect for the eventual NBA draft lottery? That's later in sports.